What is up, Who Dat Nation? Steve Geller, Jeff Nowak, inside Black and Gold. What a training camp weekend we have. Action fast and furious, and just it wasn't that hot. So thank you to the weather gods who protected us from the rays, even though I didn't put on sunscreen today and got a little bit toasted here, but nothing where it's hurting. I just look really red.
Did I lose you?
Yeah, you froze up there.
I froze up. You froze up. Don't blame me.
We froze then.
Let's just go back and say what you just said.
Okay. Welcome inside Black and Gold, folks. Steve Geller, Jeff Nowak. We have been inundated at training camp, and it's been a blast. The weekend was awesome. It actually started Thursday with an indoor session. They had off Friday, but Saturday, Sunday, really good action and notes and takeaways, I guess you could say, we got from the workouts we're watching, and not just, still not getting into really the contact and physicality of the game. Thank God the pads are on and we are deep into camp now.
Oh yeah, man. Like we're in football season now. Like we're there. We're into it. We're going out to California in a couple of days. Well, I'm the team, and I am going out to California in a couple of days, and it's gonna be kind of a separate, like it's gonna be like three different camps. We're gonna have the camp here in front of the fans. We're gonna have the camp in California in the comfortable weather, and then we're gonna come back and finish out camp here. But no, a lot has happened since the last time we recorded an episode, so we're gonna have a lot to go through. This episode, this is gonna be a cold open at the top. First segment in the YouTube feed is gonna be. The first segment is going to be okay. I'm all over the place. The first segment is going to be kind of a wide open walk through everything we've seen over the last few days. So it's going to be kind of amorphous. Like we're going to talk about a lot of stuff, and we're going to go through a lot of the scrimmage that happened today. It was a 2.5 hour practice. They ran 126 offensive plays. 126. And if that sounds like a lot, keep in mind, an NFL team will get roughly 60 to 70 plays in an average game. So you basically ran 2 games worth of plays. So it was a lot to take in. So we'll get through a lot of that. Second segment, if you're listening on the podcast feed, is going to be an exclusive interview I did with Brendan Nugent, Saints offensive line coach. If you're watching on the YouTube feed, we've done this before. If you're watching on the YouTube feed, we're not going to have that in this episode. I'm going to post that interview separately, and we're going to roll into a high or low stock watch segment where we kind of go through, okay, whose stock is rising, whose stock is falling, where are we landing on position groups, on the quarterback competition, all that stuff. After that, again, on the YouTube channel, we are going to roll into a live mailbag. So if you want to get comments, questions in the chat, we'll get to as many as we can. And that'll be a separate episode that we're going to post later on the podcast feed. Just a couple of the programming notes before we hit a break here and move on. I tried something new this week, and it was well received. So I'm going to continue to do that as we go forward, not in California, but just in general, is I've been recording 15 to 25 minute episodes as I drive home from practice. Those have been just on the podcast feed for now. I'll probably try to come up with a video element of it as we go forward to get it on the YouTube channel. But it's just, my goal is to be quick and get something out quick to just digest what happened in practice. And so for now, I'm just sticking with the audio only version of it. So if you want to get some updates on what's happened over Thursday, Friday, etc., go check out the podcast feed, and there will be driving home segments. I've done 3 of them, and they've gone pretty well. It's kind of funny just to drive home in the car and record a podcast, because I can get off some pretty good rants when there's no one around me to talk to me.
Well, you guys got to watch out for the rest of the road out there. I tell all people often that the worst part of my day isn't work; it's getting to work on the I hate the I-10. Like, makes me cringe every day.
Yeah, to this point, no one's like cut me off and forced me to like scream. And I'm not sure whether if that did happen, I would cut it out or if I would just leave it in.
No, you got to leave it, right?
Because I think part of the fun is like you don't know what's going to happen. Anything can happen. I'm driving the car. But yeah, so that's something we'll continue to do. And like I said, the goal recently has been to try to find more short form episodes to get content out there. And so that's what we're doing. One more thing, and I know I've talked about this a lot. I do want to put a bow on it. We talked a lot about the card giveaways. That has happened. I have given out more than 100 Saints cards to fans over the last 2 weeks of practice. It's been great. I've really enjoyed it. I posted on our social media account today, like, they're all gone. I don't have any more. Today I had a pile of cards that were not in top loaders, just as kind of my reserve, and it was mostly Jake Haener cards. That I someone asked, "Hey, do you have one more?" And I was like, "You know what? Here, just pass them out. Like that's the end of it." And so I've given out all these cards. I'm going to continue to do it. I'm going to have to restock, but it's been great. I've really appreciated. It's given me an opportunity to go talk to a lot more people than I would at a typical training camp, and I've really enjoyed it. The Kendre Miller card that I promised I would give out to the first listener I found, it went to Hui, who he's been up at practice like every day. I see him every time I walk by. So I'm glad I was able to get it to him. And I talked to at least 6 or 7 people who were like fantastic, like just awesome. And I really enjoyed it. I do want to apologize to Rusty. I got him in trouble today because he like flagged me down and I was busy. And then and I was like, I'll come over to you. And then, I called him over and the security guard like yelled at him because apparently a fan got over the barricade on Friday's practice and was like, maybe not Friday's practice. I can't remember. Maybe it was Saturday's Saturday. And like, but they were on the field. So they were like cracking down. But it's been great. I've really enjoyed talking to people. I've seen a lot more people have told me they're listeners this year than last year. So that's been cool. But yeah, I'm going to continue to do the card stuff. I'm going to find ways to also get stuff out to listeners who aren't in town, so that's going to be my next goal is to find some giveaways for the listeners. But it's been great. And I've really enjoyed talking to people. So I'll stop bugging you about the cards. I just did want to update that. So if you see me on Tuesday, understand that all I have left to give you are these 2 Derek Carr cards that no one wants.
Maybe good for target practice.
I also have a Mike Evans, Marshawn Lattimore card, which is kind of cool, but it's like it would have been a weird one to give out at camp. But that's it. Anything else? Any more miscellaneous?
Yeah, I'd keep the Mike T and Marshawn card just for the memories kind of thing.
Yeah. Mike Evans.
Oh, I thought it was Mike Thomas and Marshawn.
No, it was Mike Evans and Marshawn. So it's like, I think it's a cool card, but it would have been a weird one to give out in that context.
Oh, yeah. Everybody seems to know about that pestering, needling they constantly did with one another.
There was a funny interview with Jameis.
I did see that.
Pivot, which is Ryan Clark's podcast, and he was talking about it's like the entire time Jameis was on the Saints, like Marshawn didn't really like him because he just connected him to Mike Evans, and like that's how much Marshawn hated Mike Evans. It's like he was willing to hate people that were just associated with Mike Evans, and obviously Jameis did have a role in the fight they got into at the Superdome a few years back. But
I got
any other housekeeping notes? Any other housekeeping notes before we move on to the actual show?
I guess talking about if you mean like housekeeping, some like roster moves.
No, just stuff that's not this show. Okay, I think that means no.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're gonna get into the episode. I wasn't sure if there's anything else you wanted to mention before we did that, but there isn't. Correct?
7 days till we have a preseason game, so let's roll.
Yeah, man, I'm excited about it. But all right, who dat? This is Inside Black and Gold. I'm Jeff Nowak. He is Steve Geller. We're gonna get into the episode again. Remember, we're going to have a second episode tacked on to the end of this. Is going to be a mailbag. So comments, questions, get them in the feed. We'll get through as many as possible. As always, appreciate everyone for listening, everyone who hangs out. We've already got 60 people in here, so I can already tell it's going to be a busy show. Thanks, everyone, for sticking around. Cheers. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, please hit the rating, review. Haven't seen a new review there in a while.
I can't hear you.
All right, are we back?
Yeah, but now it sounds like it's coming through your headphones.
All right.
Now, nothing.
How's that? You can't hear me?
Now I can. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But you're on a delay to me.
Oh, really?
Now it's caught up.
We're having all sorts.
It was just you hit the microphone and sent everything into chaos.
Yeah, I need to stop gesticulating so significantly.
I'm using the bad one with hands. Can't hear you.
I know it's muting. So this is going to be a longer break as I fix this in the break. But Oh, all right. We haven't done an episode in a week. It's been a weird week. Okay, stay with me. Stay with me. All right. Who dat? Go Saints. We will be right back.
You're back.
Well, hold on. Okay, so it sounds good.
Yes, we're good.
All right. Yeah, that's annoying. Anyway, okay. Sorry about that. Just wanted to test before we go into this, and then I record on the wrong mic for an entire segment, which I have done before, and it is annoying. Anyway, all right. And we're back on Inside Black and Gold. Jeff Nowak, Steve Geller coming at you live on YouTube. It is Sunday afternoon. We stood out at Saints practice for 2.5 hours today. It was the longest practice of camp to this point. And so that's a majority of what we're going to talk about. We always have multiple practices to go through, but today was really the day that we got a lot of information. 126 offensive plays, and that also means 126 defensive plays. You also saw some special teams in between. But man, so Steve, tell me, okay, so 10 days into camp, what are some of the top observations that you've got at this point?
The QB battle definitely seems like we're a two-man race. If you just don't even account into what we're seeing, it's what we're seeing, but it's more of what the coaches are letting us see with the fact of their rotation. To get into it, what was it the other day? We saw Spencer Rattler with the first time with the threes. Jake Haener got his first time with the twos. And just even today for the early goings, it kind of felt like Jake Haener was an afterthought. And so I just feel like to say it's a three-man race is not accurate to me. It's definitely between Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shuck. And thankfully, Shuck has made this was probably one of his better days during this session. So starting out with that QB competition, just because, it's what everybody wants to talk about.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. I mean, that's a great place to start. We're gonna have a lot to talk about the other guys, but we do have to talk about the quarterback competition. And I think today was really kind of telling of that, right? Over the last week or so, it's been kind of interesting. Like you mentioned, Spencer got the first time he had run with the threes was on Saturday's practice, and I think that was more in line with giving him fewer reps on Saturday so that they could really load him up on Sunday, because a lot of it is just them trying to kind of even out some reps. Now, where I think we may be misreading the Spencer Rattler, Jake Haener, Tyler Shuck part of it is, I think that, yes, it's Spencer Rattler, Tyler Shuck competing for the starting job. I do think that Jake Haener is in the mix, and I think where he's in the mix is, are you going to get to the end of camp and say Spencer Rattler is the starter and feel like Jake Haener is a better option to be the game day backup than Tyler Shuck? And that won't, and if you do that, that wouldn't mean you're quitting on Tyler Shuck. It would be similar to last year. Why last year did the Saints decide to put Jake Haener as the game day backup rather than Spencer Rattler? And it's because I don't want a rookie's first time getting into an NFL game being 3 minutes left in against the Chiefs where you're just going to get teed off on, because that's what happened to Jake Haener getting into the game last year. I didn't want Spencer Rattler to be thrown into a situation like that. But then when it came down to, okay, guys out for a while, who am I going to start? It was Spencer Rattler. And I think if you ended up doing that, it would be similar. If you go back and you want to compare this to the Eagles with Jalen Hurts, Nate Sudfeld was the second string quarterback to start that season. It wasn't that they didn't like Jalen Hurts. It was they felt that guy was a better option to be the backup. So those are two different conversations. That said, the last 2 days, I felt like Tyler took some really serious steps forward in terms of, I still think that it's Spencer is going to come out of it and win that job. But today in particular, I felt like Tyler looked like a quarterback that I could see starting week 1. Not that I think is going to, but so the way that this operated, you had Spencer Rattler taking the first sets with the 1s, Tyler Shuck taking the second sets with the 2s. And the only touchdown drive of the day was that second stretch with Tyler Shuck. He went 8 of 8. He converted. He only faced 1 third down on the entire drive. He got the ball out on time. He got it on target. I was wondering if maybe it was scripted. Kellen Moore said, no, nothing was scripted. It was a completely call it session. And we'll hear from Kellen in a second here. But that's a good sign to me, because when you're scripting it and you put the guy in a good situation, you catch the defense off guard, whatever. This was not a situation where you did that. This was a situation where you're calling plays. He's running it. He's reading the defense. He's getting the ball out. Touchdown went to Michael Jacobson, who had a really strong day. Juwan Johnson's still working back from the groin injury. He was in team drills today, but his reps are limited. So you saw a lot more of Trayton Welch, Michael Jacobson, Maliki Matavau. But no, like Tyler needed something like that to build confidence on. And that's how I look at it. Like he had some bad moments too. There was a rough interception on another really, really effective drive. He got down to the red zone, threw it right to Nephi Sewell. Rashid Shaheed was standing in the back of the end zone. It was, if you remember, if you've seen the throw against Notre Dame that Tyler had, where he kind of rolled out against his arm and then kind of set and just threw a bullet. It was the same play, except he did not see Nephi. Windows are a little tighter in the NFL, and he kind of just threw it right to him. If he puts some air on it, it's an easy touchdown. It's just something he's going to look back on film and be like, I had it. But no, that like just having that one drive that went so perfectly and you can build on it, I think that's just a great thing for a rookie, so that he can stop pressing. He can feel like, okay, I can do this, and you go forward. And that's where I think we need to talk about Tyler. It's not about, is he perfect? Is he a star right now? Is he going to be your week 1 guy? Like, it's about, is he taking steps at the NFL level? And I feel like over the last couple of days, we saw him get more decisive. The ball got out. He's still making some mistakes. He's still missing some throws, but it's happening in ways where you're saying, okay, he was here when we started. Now he's somewhere here, and I need him to be here if we're going to start him in week 1.
One thing for whoever, well, especially with Spencer and Shuck, and it happens with Haener too. It just seems more prevalent with the other two. The fact that nobody seems to have enough time. Even the Saints defense is getting after it, and I'm a little worried about the offensive line in that aspect.
Yeah, it's tough because you want to be happy about the defense,
right?
And I do think there is some level of like the defense is playing well right now. I think the defense is ahead of the offense in that regard. I do want to hear. Okay, so this is Kellen Moore talking about the call it sessions, and there's part of this too that is like Kellen Moore and Brandon Staley also need work in terms of, you want to go into week 1 feeling like they have the offense and defense down from a play caller perspective. And this is what he said about the call it situations.
I love call it situations. We go through the install process early in training camp. You kind of have to script to make sure you get things repped, get experience with certain concepts or plays, and we do that on both sides of the ball. But as this thing progresses, we get more and more into these call it's, because ultimately that's how this game's played. I do think it takes the thinking out of it, some of the over-analyzing out of it. You get a play call, and within about 15 seconds, you're executing that play on the field, and just whatever happens on that one, you go to the next one, and you just keep on moving.
Keep on
keep it moving. And I do think that helped Tyler. I think as a rookie, when you're trying to script too much, you start thinking too much. I think you got him out there and you got him in situations where he could just react. Now, it wasn't perfect, right? Like there was a 3 and out on his next drive. And there was more to build on. Spencer, I thought, moved the ball really well today, but there was no touchdowns. Like the only drive that ended in a touchdown was Tyler Shuck's first drive with the 2s. Every other drive either ended in a field goal or a punt. So yeah, that's a negative thing. And I do need to see, we haven't seen Spencer do a lot of red zone work. I think when you're a young player, sometimes you'll settle for not making mistakes in the red zone. And he definitely didn't make any negative plays. Like he did not turn the ball over. He didn't take any massive sacks. So, just taking the points that are there, I think is valuable for a young player. And that's how you kind of allow your defense to help you win a game. But I do want to see him be more efficient in the red zone. That's probably my one big criticism of him from today is like he got the ball into the red zone repeatedly. He just couldn't finish a drive off. And so that's going to be something I want to see from him.
With Shuck, he should have had 2 touchdowns today. I thought it was, for me, his best throw of camp to Seth Green, who just didn't come away with it in the end zone.
Yeah, Seth, he had his moment. And he couldn't get it done. It was
a nice little loft over the defender. I don't know who was in coverage there, but perfect throw by Shuck. It was pretty.
I need to grab my notebook. Hold on. Yeah, so my notes for today are friggin' all over the place. Like, I mean, I have like 7 pages. Usually I'll have like 2 or 3 pages of notes at the end of the day. This time I have like 7 or 8. Yeah, I don't have who was in coverage either. I just have the word miss written in all caps. And it wasn't a miss on the throw. It was a miss on the catch because he had it.
Right.
And it was like, Seth, this is your opportunity. This is your chance to have a moment, right? Like I asked Kellen about Jashin Davis the other day. And what he said was basically like, yeah, when you are in those situations, when you're a depth player, you have to make us aware of you. It's just, this is a paraphrase, but like, you have to make plays, and then we see you making plays, and then you get our attention, and then suddenly we're getting you more reps with the 2s and the 1s, and like you become a player that we can't keep off the field. And you do that by making that catch, right? By showing him you got hands, and maybe the ball was kind of screened from him a little bit. It was a close, like the defender almost made a play on the ball.
But it was right in the midst.
You got to catch it. And, like that's one of my takeaways is like, I don't think the Saints have a ton of pass catchers that are trustworthy.
Jack Stoll's been impressive for a guy that's not been known as a pass catcher.
Exactly. We're talking a lot about Jack Stoll, man. And I don't like it. Now, again, Juwan Johnson was limited. We were talking way too much about Jack Stoll. Michael Jacobson had a ton of catches today. Michael Jacobson, it felt like at points, he was the only guy you could throw the ball up to because everyone else, like Kevin Austin, right? Kevin Austin had a really nice 3rd down conversion on a play from Tyler Shuck on a 3rd down play, that touchdown drive. He was the guy who converted the 3rd and 7 in the down near the goal line. But like there was a couple plays today where I could just hear Bobby in my head being like, yeah, how about you catch it, right? How about you be big? How about you play like a big guy and go catch the ball? Because he just wasn't physical enough. And there was a play down in the red zone after I think it was an intentional grounding. Tyler. They sent a 0 blitz at him. What you'll say for Brandon Staley is like he's not giving him anything easy. Like he's sending blitzes, he's sending pressure at the young guy and forcing him to handle it. And the only thing Tyler can do, the only thing he can do in that situation is kind of backpedal. Give your receiver some time to get downfield and then just give him a jump ball. Well, the problem is the only guy you can throw a jump ball to is Chris Olave, and there's so much I like about Chris Olave. His ability to go up in a one-on-one situation and out battle a defender is not his best skill, and I just wish you had a player that you could say like he's going to win that. Like it's, the big guys like the little Jordan Humphreys, for example, like, they came into the NFL and they're like, you call these 50-50 balls, but I call them 80-20 balls because that's my ball and I'm going to win that ball. There's no one on the Saints right now that you could say a 50-50 ball is actually an 80-20 ball.
That touchdown drive, it was the tight end drive too. It was like, I don't know if our tight ends are looking good or the Saints defense still can't really guard them. Like the tight ends in general.
Yeah. And Justin's, to answer your question, he's working back. He didn't miss a day of practice, which is a good sign. He's dealing with a groin thing. I think they're just kind of slowly ramping him up. They're not going to overload him with reps, but the fact that he's out there at all is a very good sign. Right. Trayton Welch keeps going down hurt. I feel bad for him. He's just getting beat up. But
he got walloped.
He did. He was in a lot of pain, but he went back out there. And that's the thing. When you're Juwan Johnson and you're dealing with an injury, they'll be like, all right, Juwan, let's take it easy. We'll get you out there, but we won't do anything crazy. When you're Trayton Welch, it's like,
I have to.
Is your leg still attached to your body? Get back on the field.
Get out there. Yeah. That one shot he took when it was like the player on play, defense on defense crime there. I didn't think he was going to get up as soon as he did.
There was a lot. So yeah, the way this practice was structured, like the first 90 minutes was high intensity. The first 6 drives were Tyler Shuck, Spencer Rattler. Then Jake Haener gets in, and his first set of drills for Jake Haener was he was out there with the 2s and the 3s going against the first team defense. And part of that is you're just giving guys different matchups. But I think they wanted to make sure that was Jake and not Tyler or Spencer, who kind of got hung out to dry. And I'll give Jake credit because he hung in there, and his first play was a 25-yard pass to Dante Pettis, which it's anytime Jake needs a big play, he goes to the reliable hands of Dante Pettis, number 17, man. I like Dante Pettis, and I'm joking, but I do like Dante Pettis. He's on my roster right now. He's on my 53 because he makes catches like that. He makes big catches. So when I say I don't know if the Saints have reliable pass catchers past Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. He's one of the guys that I'm I at least trust when I throw him the ball. He's going to come down with it.
Yeah, the thing with Pettis too is the extra he's going to provide for you at special teams.
Yeah, right. And he can be that returner. Him and Velus Jones are the 2 guys I look at and say these guys could be plus returners. I do want to talk about Velus a little more. He thinks he's faster than Rashid Shaheed, which is kind of funny to me. We'll hear
Apparently,
that. Apparently,
Rashid did too.
No, Rashid. Oh, you mean Rashid heard it?
No, he thought it was funny.
Rashid said nah.
Right.
Rashid ain't buying that.
Hey,
that
but
malarkey.
I mean, come on. Velus is putting up a game check.
He is. He's bet his game check on it. And I mean, Velus did run a 4.31 at the combine. He's got speed, and that's what makes him intriguing to me. He's got speed, but Rashid has long speed. I think that's the difference. In fact, we're talking about it. Let's just listen to the clip.
You got to now, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've teed it up, so we have to listen to it now. There it is.
Somehow we need to make this happen, though. Now,
Thomas said that you're the fastest back in the room, and that they really like that about you. How do you utilize that speed, and how is it such a part in the running back room?
Fastest one on the team, but. I mean, you can't coach speed, and I feel like I've shown some glimpses of how dangerous I could be at being a home run hitter or getting the open field, and so it's just taking everything day by day, being consistent, continue to learn from AK and all the guys that has a lot of experience, and JT as well. So I'm just being like a sponge right now, just learning, keeping my head down the grinder.
That third down drop, a good example of just kind of how you can use
Oh, for sure,
yeah.
for sure. I obviously, read the gaps and everything, and my blockers and the way the scheme's set up. But at the end of the day, you just run the ball. You know what I'm saying? I feel like physicality is a great part of my game as well, so it makes it that much easier too. To run through arm tackles and stuff. But no, it's not. Running the ball is just running the ball at the end of the day.
I mean, just to be clear, you're saying you're faster than Rashid?
For sure.
For sure?
Yeah. I bet my game check on it.
Were you, forgive me for not.
And
Hey,
here's
man.
the thing. He's not joking.
No.
He didn't even crack a grin. He
right.
was
That's what I noticed too. When we all start laughing, he goes, "I'm the fastest guy on the team," and everyone's laughing. He's deadpan serious.
Yeah. I do feel bad because I knew one of the details I knew about Velus Jones was that he had a ferret and his name was Crash. And so I never really updated my information, my data banks on the latest with Crash. So I was just, Velus is up here. I'll ask, how's Crash doing? Crash is dead. Crash crashes with the ferret angels now.
Wait, you did ask about him?
I did.
Oh,
and
man.
I think he was happy that he got to talk about Crash. He was a ferret named after Crash Bandicoot. But I was like, oh no, I brought up his dead ferret. Oh God, she's gonna hate me. But no, I think he was actually happy.
Pissed off. Good job.
Yeah, no, he wasn't angry. But I was like, oh man, I didn't realize because when I was asking the question, I was like, wait, how long do ferrets live? Because it was anyway. We got a question here, so I will mention this here. So Philip Havard says, I thought Velus Jones was a wide receiver. When did he become a running back? He looked good at Tennessee as a wide receiver, but I could see the running back ability in his game. Yeah, he said his first position was running back. He was a running back in high school, converted to wide receiver for the NFL. The Bears a couple years ago converted him to running back. It was actually a big segment on Hard Knocks, when they were on Hard Knocks. Actually, it might have been last year. I can't recall exactly when it happened, but the Bears converted him to running back and just kind of became a thing. He spent time with the Panthers. Now the Saints are viewing him as a running back. And I think, like, he doesn't have the size you'd want for a receiver. He has the size you want for a running back, but he has the speed you want for a receiver. And I think that's the intriguing part to me. But, a few other things I want to get into.
She knows it's out there. So how do we make this happen in practice one day?
We'll see. Maybe this is a California thing. But no, we've been on this for a while. I do want to talk about a couple other things before Kelvin Banks. What I'll say for him is he's not getting rooked out there. Like, when you have a rookie left tackle, you kind of watch and wait for the veterans to just kind of push him around and make him look like a kid, make him look like a guy who doesn't know what he's doing. I have never once gotten that impression. Like, if I didn't know any better, if you just dropped me in here and said, there's a rookie on the offensive line, who is it? I mean, I may land on him, but it would be like, well, he looks like a little baby face, right? But he's out there holding up. And, while there has been a little more pressure on the quarterback than I want to see, I think a lot of it is based on extra pressure. Like, you've seen Alontae Taylor get through on blitzes. Ugo Amadi got through on a blitz today. I think it's the creative pressure that's given the Saints problems. When they just kind of line up and block and they go man on man, I think they hold up really well. And so, I just think that group I'm not worried about. The offensive line, yeah.
See, to me, I haven't seen much of a running game, so that's not great.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, and that is another thing I want to talk about. Like, the run game has not been moving the ball. It's tough because you're not being physical right now. You're not breaking tackles. Like, this practice, the first 90 minutes was the scrimmage practice, and then the last 45 minutes was kind of a developmental practice, a lot of 2s and 3s, and they were actually live tackling there. And so you saw a little bit more, but I don't know. I think Davon Godchaux is a difference maker for this defensive line.
Sure feels like it.
And I don't know how they're going to cover on the outside with the kids. I don't know how a lot of things are going to happen, but when you have guys like Colin Saunders talking about, let me just play it. This is what Colin Saunders had to say about Davon.
Help improve stopping the run.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, first and foremost, you had Big DG, man. His dude is a behemoth. I got a lot of respect for him. I've watched him over the years and stuff, and he's had a lot of great production over his entire career, honestly. And so I think he'll be a huge addition. The same thing with Bull, Jonathan Bullard. He's another guy who I've been watching for a while. And then also I think that, we just have a scheme that's, like I said, a little bit more attacking. And, when you play kind of on your toes a little bit, that makes the offense kind of keep guessing. And so I think that element will play well into what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish. But besides the personnel that we've been bringing in, I think that, the scheme will really help a lot.
We've heard a lot of people talk about Davon, and it's a league of big, strong guys, but is his strength kind of just a little different?
Yeah, I mean, his strength and his size. I mean, the dude is big. They say you can't teach size, and you really can't. So, I think that that's something that he's been blessed with, is just that size, and then also with the power, because you've seen a lot of, big guys that don't have the power with him. So, he's a great guy to be in there in the interior. I think we're going to do a lot of great things with him. And, yeah, I mean, like I say, you can't teach size, and he has that. So.
The Saints finally got a space eater.
Behemoth.
Yeah.
I think it's Behemoth, but I enjoy Behemoth too. I just think there's just an intellectual tang on that. Behemoth. Anyway, Colin's an interesting guy, and I think Colin is kind of that. He's a good guy to talk to about that, because I think he's going to make this roster as your depth knows. I think he's kind of the second on that list. And then there's some other questions to be had about the defensive interior, but I think that's where we're going to learn about that in the preseason. Same with the running backs. But no, the more I watch training camp, and the more I watch Davon Godchaux, the more I watch Julian Blackmon, the more I feel man, the Saints really lucked out in being able to bring these guys in Devon just fits exactly what you need, and what they haven't had is just a guy who eats space and can't be moved and is just strong, right? Like I feel like David Onyemata, like we really did not appreciate what he was able to do enough while he was here, and then he was gone, and it was like people are just getting moved off the ball, and you just feel like the weaker group, and I don't feel like that anymore.
Another guy I'm really excited to see more of in the preseason. One of those rookies that seems like a great value pick in Stutzman at linebacker. The dude's just all over the place, and I think fans are going to love that energy and excitement he brings to that side of the ball.
Yeah, I got it for you.
Was this today? Oh, it was a blast. That's why I got the mustache. It was a war day, so we're ready to go. Wait, mustache means war? Yeah, you shave it off. You got the paint on. You're just ready to hit somebody.
What does the beard mean?
It's just a little soft, man. You gotta have. I want nothing on my chin strap, just so I can feel it all.
So, did you shave in anticipation for today, or did you?
For sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, we're just making sure we got that down.
I need to know
It was Coach Staley was saying like tomorrow we're taking the war path. I don't know what the war path means, but I was like, all right, we need a mustache. I guess so.
Mustache means war.
Easy dude to root for, and that's why I said I think fans are going to love him immediately.
Yeah, he's just an energy guy, and he plays, and this is going to be my last note, and then we'll move on to the next segment. But like he plays fast, and I don't mean that in that like I don't think he's necessarily the premier athlete. Like I don't think he's a guy that is going to blow you away with just straight line speed, but he plays fast in that he reacts quickly and he gets to the spot, right? Like I don't need you to be running a 4.3 40 at the linebacker position, but I do need you to have a quick first step, and I need you to make good reads. Like you don't see a lot of false steps with him. He makes the most out of every step that he takes. Him and Jonas Sanker, I think these two guys are, I don't know what their roles are going to be this year, because you have the depth and sense of DeMario, Pete are going to be kind of your mainstays. Julian Blackman, and who looks great, by the way. Julian Blackman looks like he's going to be a star in this defense next to Justin Reed. But like those two are going to be your guys. So Jonas, I think, is going to work in behind them. But I think over time, once these guys develop at the NFL level, they're going to be tackling machines because they just have sideline to sideline range, and they just seem to have a nose for the ball. And that's what you want as at the inside linebacker position in a 3-4 defense, is guys who just get to the spot and bring people down. Like when you have a safety making tackles on the edge of the field within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, the only way that happens is if you break on the ball fast. And both those guys, I feel like they've been doing it.
Yeah, like you brought up with Blackman. I know we love Honey Badger. We love Tyrann Mathieu. The transition to a guy like Blackman has been ridiculous. It was never in a world you could think that you would add this dude after the Honey Badger retires, and then you're not going to really – I haven't noticed any kind of drop-off in safety play, and it looks better at times.
Yeah, like I think the more I watch Julian, the more I kind of feel like – and this is nothing against Tyrann, but like he kind of did them a favor by retiring. Not even because like Tyrann wasn't going to get the job done, but because I think that Julian and Justin could be a tandem for the next 3 years. And I don't know, maybe they aren't able to extend Julian, but like the way they work together is like, I don't know what the season's going to be like for the Saints. This might be a take your medicine season where some good things happen, but you just don't have enough of the pieces in place and the quarterback's not ready. Next year, I think you'd hope that that's not the case. And so if you can roll back that tandem and feel like, man, we got the safety, we got the Marcus Williams, Malcolm Jenkins type tandem, and you just kind of roll into that. Like, I feel like that could be that group, and there seems to be good chemistry already.
Yeah, there was no way I thought that safety, was going to be this strong position going into the year.
Agree. And I have Toto as Danny is the definition of football guy. You know, when the Saints get a Monday Night Football game again, which I don't know, maybe sometime next year, the year after, I don't know, but I guarantee you, Chris Collinsworth is going to be like, that guy's a football player. You know, he's the type of guy you say that about, because like, yeah, Chris, they're all football players, but no, that guy, he's a football player. But yeah, all right. Let's wrap up this segment. We're going to have a lot more to talk about If you're listening on the podcast feed, which I know none of the people currently on YouTube are listening on the podcast feed, but I need to record it so that I can have it for the podcast feed. So stay with me. If you're listening on the podcast feed, you will be getting an exclusive interview that I did with offensive line coach Brendan Nugent, talk about Trevor Penning. A lot of these groups, why he decided to come back. He believes in Kellen Moore, why he believes in Kellen Moore, what TNT means, takes no talent. It's a good thing. We're going to get into a lot of that. If you're on YouTube, I will be posting that interview tomorrow as a separate video, so check that out. And after that, and otherwise, we'll be getting into another segment, Stock Watch, Stock Up, Stock Down. Players, what are your thoughts after 10 days of camp? Going to be a lot of it. We're also going to have a mailbag at the back end of the show. We got a lot of comments in there already, so I'm going to go through and star some of them as we go here, so we won't have a 20-minute break in between. But we're going to be doing a lot of it. Thanks, everyone who's in here. We got well over 100 people. It's one of our biggest live streams we've had in a while. So I appreciate y'all hanging out on a Sunday evening, spending your time with us. Always, always appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. Give us a rating, review on Apple Podcasts. Follow Steve at Steve Gelly WWL. You can follow me at Jeff_Nowak on X. I read a tweet that was like, the only people who say X are people who are doing like live radio hits. No one else says X. It's just people who are saying it on radio. But you can also follow the show at Saints_pod. What
I usually say, X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it.
That app that everyone has and no one likes to talk about because they don't know what the name of it is anymore.
That the name changed for no good reason.
Exactly. But we'll be taking a break, coming right back. Who dat? Go Saints. Stick around, y'all. And we are back on Inside Black and Gold. Jeff Nowak alongside Steve Geller, as always, coming at you Sunday after. We're recording this on Sunday after a 2.5-hour practice, a full scrimmage practice, which, wasn't, I don't know if you've ever seen like a college spring game. It wasn't quite like that where you kept score and everything, but so much situational stuff. It really felt like watching football, which a lot of times practice doesn't feel that way. It felt like there was some, like when you're talking about, competitions and who's stretching out, I think today was a day where there was some gaps being made between like guys who, felt like going into the week, maybe, this is even. And now it's not so much even. So my first question to you, so we're going to do kind of a stock watch. Who would you say is the player whose stock has risen the most since the start of camp? Now, a lot of guys maybe are playing even. Maybe they've impressed a little bit. There is an objectively correct answer to this, I think. But I'm curious who you're going to land on. So I'm going to vamp for a second here because I did not warn you in advance of this question. I apologize for that. I should have done that. I tried to do that. But highest climb, the stock that has risen the most on this current Saints roster, who would you say?
I think since we got to see OTAs, mini camp, and going into training camp, the guy that's the arrow keeps going up is, for me, Rashid Shaheed has been awesome. Yeah. And I mean, I'm not putting, I guess you can't put him at a wide receiver 1 status. But man, if there's a play to be made, he's usually right there for whoever's at quarterback. And he's been all over the field too. It's not just you're running, speed routes with him. He's making the catches on the sideline. And I just think has become a reliable target for all the guys.
Yeah, and he's learning to play it at multiple speeds. And I think that's a big thing for a receiver. Like you can be a speed receiver, but you also got to be able to throttle up, throttle down, like run routes over the middle of the field, time things up. And he's done that. You got to be able to make physical catches, and we've seen him make a ton of those. Like I agree with you that his stock is way up, but I don't think he's the highest just because I came in with pretty high stock on. Like I had already bought the stock at above market, knowing that people were going to be in on it.
My biggest one was like I said, initially we saw him with the OTA sessions and it was like, all right, this knee issue is not an issue.
Right. Once he came out at OTAs and was like, oh, that's the Rashid I remember. And then told us he's up to 190. And it was like, wait, what? Because like you're like, he gained 10 pounds of muscle over the offseason. And like, I wouldn't have guessed because he's so freaking fast. And he still has maintained that speed. But I'll give you the answer. I think there is an objectively correct answer to whose stock has risen the most since the start of camp. Do you want
I'll take a guess. Is it that kicker?
It's a kicker. It's Blake Groupie, man. It's Blake Groupie. That dude is a machine. And, during the practice drills, and so you're 19 to 20, your longest kick is from 53, and it's just kind of ho-hum like we've seen this before. He took 5 kicks today, and these were in the scope of practice. So these were, not necessarily, in a game setting, but like there's a little bit more pressure when it's coming at the end of a drive, because if I'm a quarterback, I want to be able to say I led a scoring drive. And so when I get you to the 40, the 41, and you're still getting put 3 points on the board, that makes me look good. So there's a little more pressure on today's kicks. 5 for 5 with makes from 54 and 58 or 59. Your guess is as good as mine. It was it's hard to tell sometimes.
Bobby was definitely screaming 59-yarder, so I was going with him.
Yeah, I'll give him the extra yard and he made it. Like, it wasn't like it like leaked over. Like, these were clean. All of them were just, I didn't get to see from the length from the end of the field, but they didn't look like they were particularly close to missing. Like, they all looked just money. He's 25 of 26 in camp. He had a make today from 59 yards comfortably. His only miss of camp, I've said this a million times, but it bears repeating. His only miss of camp has been in the rain from 51. In that kind of crazy, like, freak thunderstorm that only hit him.
We got like a real quick blitzkrieg, and then it was done when the kicking drill was over.
Yeah, and so like the way I'll phrase it, like if you went around the NFL and just had to put players at their positions and rank them among the NFL and say, where are you going to rank them in the top 10? Like, who's in the top 10 and where do they rank in the top 10? Like, I would argue that Blake Groupie is going to end up being this season the highest at his position group. Right? Like, because it can be tough to gauge the relative value of a kicker versus a running back versus a wide receiver. But like, I think Blake Groupie is a top 5 kicker in the NFL right now. If he kicks like he has in this camp, I think he's a top 5 kicker in the NFL. And this is a Saints team that's going to need every point they can get.
And the offense looks like we're going to be stalled a little bit and might have to go for many field goals.
Well, right. Like, I think the way this Saints team wins games is by the Taysom Hill route, right? Like, you're not expecting to put up 30 points, so you're playing a certain way. You're forcing the other team to play long fields, right? Like, you got to put points on the board when you can get them. And when I can just chalk up 3 points from my kicker anytime I get inside the 40-yard line or even at the 40-yard line, like, that's a weapon for a team that isn't going to have a dynamic offense.
And that needs that weapon desperately, I think.
At least can't gamble on having a dynamic offense. Can't, like, bank on it. I know gambling and banking are two very different things, but you understand what I'm saying. Because, like, this was a competition. Kellen Moore going into camp was like, he didn't declare Blake Groupie as the winner. He said they're competing. That competition is over. Like, Blake's your kicker, man.
Yeah, there would have to be like some kind of, he's kicking in ridiculous wins in California, and all of a sudden Charlie Smiths are true, because I know the percentages. I'm sure you've kept up with both guys. I don't know offhand what it is, but we've seen Smith have a lot of misses.
Excuse me. Blake is 25. Charlie is 12 for 20.
Yeah.
And I think you keep Charlie Smith around, but like that's telling. So, I don't want to do biggest drop because like I don't think that's fair to say right now. But like, I'm just gonna name players, and you're gonna tell me stock up, stock down, and we'll talk about them briefly. So first, Isaiah Foskey.
I've been down on him, and there's been nothing to get the arrow to go up yet.
Yeah, he's a non-entity,
right? And the arrow's still going down on him. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know
mean,
what he is.
It's tough to say it's even down. It's just, it is what it is, right? And, like he's had opportunities to get on the field and make plays. I have not, like, he occasionally will win like one-on-one and I at least write his number down. But like, it's 3 years. You're a third-year player now. Like, you got to be flashing. Like, and you got guys like Jasheem Davis out there. He had another sack today. He's got 5 sacks in the last 3 practices. And they're legit sacks. They're not just like, oh, he might have got him. Like, they're blow the play dead type sacks. And he's just Isaiah's not making an impact. And so, like, okay, you're a special teams guy. Maybe you make the roster because you're a special teams guy. But like, I'm kind of losing hope that he can, because here's the thing. Like, I can say, like, I haven't seen him on the field, but he's also not giving me any reason to say like he should be on the field.
We've taken more notes on Rumpf than we have with Foskey.
Yeah, Rumpf keeps making plays, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, you got guys going out there making plays, and he's just not one of them. And I don't know, like, that second round pick status protects you to a point,
man.
But I don't know. Once the coaching staff is gone, I don't know if that extends to year 3. Now he could end up being
maybe if he doesn't make
it
here, he ends up in Chicago.
Maybe, but I don't know why would DA want him. He may be a guy that Phil Galliano says like he's too important he is a special teams guy that I need, like a core special teamer, and you keep him around for that. But I've kind of I've grown beyond the point where I expect him to have an impact on the regular defense.
Yeah, because going into this year was one of those year 3 guys, along with I think Kendra Miller. Everybody's kind of angry at and wanting to see something. And shoot, there's been no kind of positive impression or anything even to say about Foskey, really.
Yeah, well, why don't we go to Kendre? Like, okay, high or low Kendre? What are your opinions of, like, how do you feel about Kendre right now relative to the start of camp?
Definitely the arrow pointing towards up. It's not skyrocketing yet, but I definitely was super low on him the past couple of years because of the injuries. He almost seemed disinterested at times. I don't know if it was because of the previous coaching staff, but he seemed, when we got to talk to him too, really serious about the season. I'm hoping that's true. He's taking care of his body. He's lighter. He's healthier for an entire camp. And there's been more good moments on the field than bad. There, maybe in the pass receiving game, there's been some drops, or even maybe the passes were too low, but plays I feel he should have made. Other than that, though, Kendra Miller's a guy that I think in preseason play should really establish himself.
Yeah, I think that the stock has to be up at least some
From
level for Kendre.
Yeah.
And it's in large part just because he's available, right? Because that's the first question you have to answer for Kendre. And, it's a joke, but it's also not. Like, one of the things that we've said about Kendre is he's got to be on the field. Well, he is, right? So you have to give him credit for being available. He's been there every day of practice. Health has not been a major issue for the Saints to this point. Now, hopefully that stays that way. The only major injury we have is Nick Saldiveri, who's done for the year. The only indoor practice messed up his knee. So I don't know. Like, stay away from that indoor facility, man. But
don't say that.
Kendre, huh?
Don't say
no,
that.
I don't want him in there. I don't want him in there. I don't want him in there. Keep him out of there. As little practice on that turf as you can. Turf sucks. Turf is the worst. Get rid of turf.
But what are we playing on in the dome?
Yeah, get real grass. Find grow lights. I don't know. Like, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of turf injuries. There's so many of them. But anyway, that's another rant for another day. But no, Kendre's been out there and he has been reasonably effective. Now, the run game has not really popped yet in general. But
I've seen him fighting for those yards.
Yeah. It's something that will become more concerning if we get through the end of preseason and it's still like, man, they are not running the ball at all. I think the pass pro has been solid, not great. I also think the Saints' run defense has been effective. So you kind of have, there's a give and take there of like, okay, I want to be positive about the defense and not just be completely negative about the offense. That said, some of the explosive runs we have seen have been Kendre Miller. He had the only 10+ yard run today. Or at least there may have been another one later in the day, but like during the 1s and the 2s, he had the only 10+ yard run. I think that he's setting himself up to be that RB2. And the ladder behind him is a big question.
Very big.
Like, I think if he's healthy and available, the talent alone is enough to win him that job, because like he does flash when he gets the ball. Like, he just has a wiggle. He has the ability to create space where there is none that is unique for a guy his size. He's got great balance. You know, I wouldn't say he's the most dynamic runner, but he surprises you with his speed. So I think the stock has to be up. And so I'm rooting for Kendre, and maybe that's part of it, is I want him to succeed. So I'm projecting a little bit.
There's definitely a spot for him on this roster. I don't think there's any danger of him going to the wayside, but the rest of the running back room, you know, you start thinking, how many backs is this team going to keep?
I'm up on the running back room in general. I think they have a really, really cool, unique group that, you know, I don't know someone's going to end up getting cut that we get very disappointed gets cut, right? Like I wish you could keep them all. I like Cam Akers. I like Devin Neal. I like Velus Jones, right? Am I missing one? Clyde. I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like I like all these guys. And so you have a really good stable of running backs. Obviously Alvin. Don't pretend I forgot Alvin, but I think stock up. If we're talking position groups, my stock in the running back position is up, and it's just a matter of who separates themselves, right? And it's tough to know until you get into the preseason. Kellen's talked about that. Like, you know, the running back position can be tough to gauge until you're really taking guys to the ground, and because that's the one position that's broken tackles is a factor. Can you break tackles? Can you run through an arm tackle, or do you get taken down at the first sign of contact, right? Because
that could be Yarns, because Justin Pasquale was asking about him.
Marcus Yarns. I don't want to. Yeah,
that's another Marcus
one. Yarns. I do like Marcus Yarns.
There's tons of guys.
I think right now he's the odd man out in terms of he's not going to make this roster, and it's not because he doesn't have talent. It's because you have so many guys ahead of him that do a lot of the same things he does. But he's a guy that I could see latching onto a practice squad somewhere and continuing to develop.
Hopefully our practice squad.
He can catch the ball. Yeah, I mean, you're going to have one or two of these guys on the practice squad. I would say I haven't done my roster projection yet, but I think I'm going to have to try to find a way to carve out a fourth running back spot. I know my projections prior to camp, I was only keeping 3, but I think you're going to have to try to find a way to keep a fourth. And if you can be Velus Jones and he can be a return guy, that helps you do that. He can also be a gunner. We've seen Velus at gunner. That helps you do that, because that fourth running back's got to be a key special teams guy. As far as the practice squad, I think you keep 1 or 2 more. So there is a chance that 6 of these guys end up sticking around. So it's not hey, you make the roster and you just get the hell out of here. There's room to be kept, and running backs get hurt at one of the highest rates in the NFL. So you need a stable. So I'm high on that position.
No, which is good, because we talked about so much. We need some of that workload to get lifted from Alvin. I don't want much less Alvin, but a little bit less Alvin is going to help him throughout the year.
Yeah, it can't just be Alvin. You got to have other answers, and we'll see how that goes. I'll tell you a guy that we haven't talked about that we have to talk about, and it's been so much to talk about that we've been on here forever. The fact that we have not mentioned his name is heresy. I feel like I have done a disservice for not saying it yet, and it's Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Oh man,
stock way up, and this is Ike Adam talking about Kool-Aid, who he didn't play with him last year, but he knows a lot about him.
Your impression of Kool-Aid?
I like Kool-Aid a lot. His locker right next to mine, so I met Kool-Aid in the offseason right when I signed. We have the same agent, but I like Kool-Aid a lot. I think he's going to have a big year. He's doing really well in camp. I feel like he knows what he's trying to improve on. He come out there with on a mission every single day, trying to get better, you know what I mean, go against Chris, and I'm excited for him this season.
Is there a point as a young cornerback that it kind of just clicks for you? Because he just seems like this offseason he's very confident, he's just very in control of everything he's doing. What would your take be?
Yeah, I can't speak too much on what he did last year because I ain't really watched much last year, but I know who Kool-Aid was in college, and I feel like that's who he is now, and I think his confidence is up there. I don't think he's ever had a problem with confidence, but I don't know if it didn't click for him last year, but it's clicking now, and I think he's ready to accept the challenge of going against top receivers in this league, and I think it'll go well for him.
I don't think he's ever had a problem with confidence. I love that because he's definitely one of the most vocal guys on the field.
I don't know. I think I didn't look at him last year and see a confident player. I saw a guy last year that offenses were going after.
No, this camp, but you've seen definitely a switch with him.
Oh, you mean this year he hasn't? Yeah. No, I agree. Like he came into this camp looking like a different dude, both physically and mentally. Right? He lost 12 pounds. He said so. He's slimmed down, but he's playing as physical as ever. Like and obviously you're not taking guys to the ground yet, so there is some level of okay, maybe losing that weight does impact him a little negatively when he has to make open field tackles. But I haven't seen that. He's held up physically. The Saints don't have physical wide receivers, so he hasn't really been tested. True. Like it's not like he's going against DK Metcalf in practice, right? As we learned in the last episode, he's actually 230 pounds. So we'll see when that happens. Like when you have to match up with Mike Evans, right? Marshawn Lattimore was able to win that matchup so many times because he was strong. He was physical. He was willing to have a fist fight on the edge of the field and win. Like Mike Evans is an elite. He's a Hall of Fame receiver because most NFL cornerbacks cannot stand up to him physically. Marshawn could. Can Kool-Aid? That's a question. But the Saints also aren't going to run as much man-heavy scheme this year. So, Kool-Aid is going to have to show that he can survive in zone. And I think that was one of my bigger questions coming in. He showed he can match coverage in zone as well as anybody. He's taking away routes really early, and makes life so much more difficult on quarterbacks when you think you have something and he takes it away and suddenly, you're on your next read. And that's how you can have a pass rush that has success. If the quarterback is getting the ball out in under 2 seconds, you're not getting sacks. You're not getting pressures. Go back and watch that Jaguars game from a couple years ago. Trevor Lawrence, I don't think he had a throw all day that he didn't get the ball out in 2.5 seconds or less. Right? Like Tom Brady survived 2 extra years in the NFL by doing that, by just getting the ball out. Like the second he sensed pressure, the ball was out. Right? And so they went 8-9 that year. They won the division. But like when you can take away that first read because you know what they're doing, then you're able to generate pressure opportunities and sack opportunities. And that's what I've seen from him. He had a nice sack today. He's making a play on the ball. It wasn't a great rep for Kevin Austin, but I still like Kool-Aid making a play. He's what you need. And every good NFL defense has that kind of don't test him corner, right? Like you have a guy that, we're going to throw it to the other side. Like we're not even going to test that. Like, because we feel like our matchup is on the other side away from this dude. And that's who I feel like Kool-Aid is turning into. Will he be exactly that this year? I don't know. But like he has that attitude about him right now. And I don't know, like the Saints, they had that with Marshawn for a while. Then he kept getting hurt. He just wasn't on the field, and you were constantly looking to younger guys to fill in the gaps. So I don't know. Like I feel very good about Kool-Aid in that spot. We obviously just heard from Ike. Ike's a physical player. My next question is going to be, where are you on Quincy Riley right
now? I would say up because he's definitely been a person we've seen around the ball a lot. Has made some plays. Looked like he had another pick today, but didn't come down in the end zone. Apparently, I thought that was another INT for him. But you consider what he's getting thrown at him his rookie season. I didn't expect him to be this far along yet, and then it hasn't been always perfect, but he's done a pretty darn good job so far.
Yeah, I think Quincy is a good example right now of a guy who is able to make some flashy plays, and we're looking past some of the issues in coverage, which like he's a rookie, he's a young player, so there will be some growing pains. But he is a ball hawk, and I will give him credit for that. He had a play today that the refs called it out of bounds. It was that 0-0 blitz that Shuck kind of put the ball up to Olave. Quincy caught that ball. Now, did he get both feet in? I thought it was close. If this was a game, you would have the defense probably throwing a challenge flag saying, let's take a closer look at that. Because I don't know, like the refs, it's nice to have the refs out there, but I'm not putting too much stock in their calls because there was the Shuck drive where he went 8 for 8, shouldn't have been 8 for 8 because he Cedric Wilson dropped the ball.
That's why I was like, I thought the refs were in the offense was in the ref's pocket
It felt that way. There was a couple times, like the other day, they called a crazy pass interference in the end zone. Today, they extended a drive with kind of a weak pass interference call, even though the ref walked away being like, easiest flag in my life. I do like the fact that the refs are giving it to the players because they're not like NFL refs. They're just high school refs.
And I love the players aren't shy about giving it to the refs either. I was like, there's a lot of jabber jabber out there.
Yeah, but I think you want it to be constructive. I think it's been constructive. It's not just been like,
no, right.
But no, I think there's been some productive moments from the refs being out there, but like Cedric put the ball on the ground, and a guy I'm down on is Cedric. Like I every time Cedric gets the ball thrown to him, I feel like it's either a double catch or it's on the ground, or like both interceptions shucked through the other day. We're targeting Cedric. Now the second one wasn't Cedric's fault. The first one, make a catch, man. Get your hands out there. Don't let the ball get to your chest.
Now
catch
you sound like Bobby.
Yeah. And when he lets it get into his body and it gets knocked away and it's an interception, and it's like, I don't know, pick up your quarterback there. Like there was nothing wrong with that throw. It's just, I need you to have strong hands. You're my big physical receiver. Play like it. And like that was a ball that was on the ground. And I was like, the refs must have seen that the ball hit because he caught it and then immediately dropped it. But like he did catch it. So they just called it a catch.
There was also a ball, was it third or fourth down where he should have had a ball, and it was a contested catch, but he didn't make it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like you have all these guys who could be physical contested catch receivers, and I have yet to see one of them step up. Like Bub, did you see Bub catch a ball today? Maybe like 2 or 3.
He's sadly someone I was high on going into camp, and it's kind of the arrow's starting to go down with him just because we haven't been. He's not in our notes, and if he's not in our notes, it's not good. Damn it!
Right, I'm just looking through. I'm not even like trying to. I'm just trying to find 16. Right, I see a lot of +6s, but that's not a 16. I have like 5 pages to go through here. Okay, I did have 1 catch. No, that's a +6. That's not a 16. I need to have a better short end. There's a lot of +6 plays in here.
You're trying to.
Okay, no, I did.
My handwriting too. You would think I'm a doctor. How horrible it is.
There was one. He did have a catch from Jake Hayner on a 1st and 20. There was a few penalties today. A few too many penalties. There were some holding penalties, but mostly the second and third team. But yeah, he did have a catch from Jake but it was a 1st and 20. He picked up 10. Let's see, 16. Yeah, I just don't see. I'm not seeing nearly enough from Bub here. So like, hopefully that changes. Hopefully we start to see
more from Tipton, from Austin. Bub
Tipton's been great. I haven't had an issue with Tipton, but the problem is like he's not that. Like I need a bigger guy. I need someone to step forward and be that physical receiver. Tipton is a very redundant player with, and I don't say that negatively. It's just the reality. Like when you have Shaheed, Olave, Cooks is a guy that I expected more out of. Like you don't really like Tipton's valuable, but as a guy to replace one of those guys, like when inevitably one of those guys gets dinged up and you have to come out for a few plays, I can put Tipton in and feel like, that's a bad example because like I think Tipton would probably be an inactive player, but like say Olave ankle and misses a game, like I feel like Tipton's a guy who can fill that role because he can do a lot of similar things. Like I just don't see like, Keenan Allen is a player that is still out there that I'm just like, they need a player like that. And they just don't have it. And that's like when I look at the wide receiver core, I'm up on the wide receivers in general, but I'm down on the fact that like there's going to be situations where you just need a guy to go make a contested catch. And I just don't see it right now.
Sadly, with Allen, I saw that a reunion with the Chargers seemed almost inevitable.
Yeah. I don't know. Like we put a lot on like, oh, this guy knows this guy. But that doesn't, and I've said this before, like we always kind of look at it as like, well, they know each other, so they must like each other. I don't know. There's a lot of people I know and don't like. Like this guy, there's people I worked with that I don't want to work with again.
If the Chargers were interested, I could see him wanting to go back there. You know what I mean? It's his bulk of his career.
Yeah, not everyone is like Ike, who said that New Orleans is his happy place, which I don't know. They did watch Happy Gilmore too in the defensive room, so. Maybe that's what maybe he's going there, but I thought that was funny. He's like, that's my happy place. It's got pictures of beer coming off the walls. And anyway,
you like Ike?
I do. I'm an Ike fan. You talked to him the other day, right?
Yeah, and I think that's great depth for the corner room. I'm happy to have him back. I was surprised that San Fran let him go.
Yeah, I really like Ike as a depth player. Like I think he's elite depth. Like if he's my quarterback coming off the bench, great. I don't know how I feel about him as a starter, but I do know one thing is that he's always going to battle. Like he's going to be physical. He's not going to get beaten physically. Now he might draw a couple flags, but like he's going to be out there. He's going to make the offense earn every catch. And that's what Paulson Adebo was to an extent, you know, and when Paulson got in trouble, it was because he got a little handsy and drew some flags. And that's going to be they're going to throw at Ike because Kool-Aid's going to develop the reputation of a guy you don't throw at. And they're going to say, hey, we're going to throw at Ike. So he's got to make plays.
No, and just another dude, you appreciate his attitude. You know, one of those dogs as everyone likes to talk about.
Agreed. All right. Any other players you want to hit on before we close out this episode here?
I like what I've seen with Brazil. I think he's taking another step this season just because I think I brought it up last time. He just seems to be a pest and a nuisance up front in the middle. And I don't know. I just think that he's looking to prove a lot more this season and hopefully unlock more of that run defender. Hopefully, because if he can be that well-rounded guy for you, look out.
Yeah, I haven't seen him getting after the quarterback as much, but I do think that he has been effective as a run defender. And we've seen the Saints, like we haven't seen much from the run game at all. And I think part of it is the Saints are really focusing. They're throwing a lot of bodies at the run. Like the deep, like a lot of the defenders have talked about this. Like they are very aware of how much they struggled against the run. And they all know, like, there's no such thing as a good defense that can't stop the run. If you can't stop the run, you're getting gashed because you just got to send more and more bodies. And I think that's been a big focus of this training camp early on is shoring up that part of the game. And I think that's smart. Like you have to start there and figure out how to stop the run and then build everything off that. And so we'll see how that goes. But no, I like Brazil. I think Brazil is one of the things I wanted to do, and we'll do this on a future episode, is like ranking players by star potential. And he's one of those players that, like, there's not a ton of players on the Saints that I feel like has a chance to be at the top of their position. But he is one of them. Like, I think he could be a top 5 defensive tackle if he continues to develop.
Also excited about the vibes that Blackman and Reed are bringing into this season. That duo seems to click. On the field, it's been good, but off of it, they've kind of been going back and forth, and it looks like we might have another Kamara Ingram duo there almost.
They do seem to have that type of energy. If you haven't seen it, like I did tweet it, like I think what happened was Jonas Senker was about to do his first media availability, and I think he was nervous about it. And so what Julian and Justin did was they went up there and they kind of helped him into it. And they asked a couple of questions and made it into a joke and got him comfortable. Cause like it was a strange thing. I was like, why are they doing this? And I think it was to kind of pick up their dude. Like he's a young guy. He's definitely
That's great because at
player.
first it was like, oh man, they're hazing him, but that makes a hell of a lot more sense. Loosen him up, make him laugh. And it's not that big a deal. We're not going to bite.
Yeah. Like I think that's what it was. And I'd love to talk to Justin. I haven't got a chance to talk to Justin, but I would imagine that's what it was, is like, these young guys haven't done these types of things before, right? So I think it was like, okay, we're gonna get through it. Because Jonas is a kind of undertone guy. He's like a soft-spoken guy. He doesn't have this kind of wild personality. Like he's not a Danny Stutzman who's gonna go out there and be like talking about his mustache and play into the crowd. More like a Lattimore, right? Like, and it doesn't mean you're not a good player. It just means it's like you're not a talker. But no, like the vibes in the safety room feel immaculate.
Yes.
And like there's been videos put out by the Saints. The Saints are doing a way better job this year. And I say better, but like they're doing an incredible job this year of getting content out that is like inside looks at, like, they're miking up players.
That's very cool. I love mic'd up stuff.
There's a great video of Justin Reed mic'd up at practice. And there's one, the best clip in that is like, it's individual drills. And, I can't remember who he was working with. It might've been Jonas. And he's just kind of, it's like, he's like, hey, do this. And then he does it, but he didn't do it the right way. And he's not just like, yeah, whatever. He's like, oh, no. I meant do it this way. And he's like, come around this side and come through like that. Because then you, like, when the ball's there, and it's just like those types of teachers are invaluable on a roster. And when you have such a young roster, you need those veterans to kind of bridge that gap. And I think Justin, like, you understand immediately, like, watch that video and you'll understand instantly why they wanted him on this team.
Yeah, like I said, the vibes are high there, and it was almost like they were friends before and came in and like are on the same team now, like they've known each other for years.
Yeah, and so there's a lot more, and we're going through a ton here, and it's because there's just been a lot going on, and if it sounds like I'm excited about this team, it's because I am. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win 10 games. I'm not saying they're going to win the division, but I think they're headed in the right direction. And when you talk to players, when you hear from players, that's the vibe you're getting. So I can't be negative when all I hear from people are positive, and when I see players doing things the right way, I can't possibly be negative about it. We'll have plenty of time to be negative during the season when they start losing a bunch of games. I can't be negative right now.
We've talked about this, the fact that they're not deaf, they're not blind to what is being said or written about them, and a lot of guys want to show that, and you feel that the energy with the team, that they want to show the New Orleans Saints are not the worst team in the freaking NFL, which a lot of folks expect them to end up with the first overall pick this year.
Yeah, I don't buy that. And it's funny because, like, people are looking at Shuck and saying, Shuck's, playing like a rookie and he's struggling. He's swimming a little bit. So thus they're going to pick first in the draft. But it's like, I don't know. I feel good about the run game. That's not what I meant. I feel good about, the players in the running back room. I feel good about the offensive line. I feel good about the defensive line. I feel good about the secondary. The wide receivers, but it is what it is. Like, there's a lot of things I feel good about, but the guy who, if he's not ready, isn't going to play is the reason people are looking at this team and saying, they're going to be terrible. But it's like, I don't know. I feel good about Rattler. I think one of the reasons we're not talking as much as we should about Rattler is because he's just gone out there and kind of just ho-hum, done a good job. Like, he's not trying to wow people. He's just running the offense, getting the ball out. He's doing what you need him to do. So I don't know. I don't feel bad about it. But all right, let's wrap up this episode. Again, I'm Jeff Nowak. He is Steve Geller. We just went for 90 minutes, it feels like, but we have so much more to talk about. We're going to be having a mailbag coming back on the YouTube channel. So stick around for that. I got a ton of comments and questions in there, so we're going to get into it. But thanks, everyone, for hanging out, as always. Thanks, everyone who chatted with me at training camp. Gave out, like I said, I gave out more than 100 Saints cards like we were talking about. I had a lot of fun doing that. I'm going to definitely do it again next year. The restock starts today. But, yeah. 10 days in, so much left to do.
You're going to have to now, like, up the ante on these cards and, like, get Bobby to sign one, I guess, and give it out.
I could do that. That is something. That's a good idea. I could get Bobby and Deuce to sign a couple and hand them out. I don't know. Maybe they're contractually obligated to do that. Maybe I don't know. But all right, who dat? Go Saints. Be easy, y'all. Next full episode's going to be coming from California, so be ready for that. Going to start to see me in a hotel room again. So good stuff as always.
Later, who dats?
Peace. I don't know why I did an L, but hey. All right. You ready? You ready for part two?
Let's go.
Yeah, we're getting 2 out of the way here because this is going to be a weird week, by the way. Yeah, like this is not the podcast, but like, the first 10 days are down and we're going to have a practice on Tuesday. And then I'm immediately going to have to go home and pack and then get to the airport for Wednesday and fly up there. So it's like, it's going to be a crazy week.
And you're not just packing for a day or two.
It's funny because it's like packing for a 10-day trip is very similar to packing for a 26-day trip because you're not taking 26 days worth of clothes. You're taking like a week's worth of clothes and doing laundry, right? So it's going to be similar. But the good news is a lot of the stuff I bought for the trip last year I still have. So I got that.
Your Cali gear.
This is going to be a mailbag. So we're going to intro it like it's a new episode just so don't get confused. But we're still here. We still got time, man. Anyway, whenever you're ready.
Welcome inside Black and Gold. Steve Geller, Jeff Nowak, and the special edition of Mailbag coming at you now.
Yes. Inside Black and Gold, the mailbag. I'm going to dive into my Santa sack of mail and pull out some questions. But
only cards are in your Santa sack.
That is true. And hey, there's a couple people who I gave cards to have already been in the comments. So I do want to mention Elton. Where's Elton at? Elton. Well, that's not the card one, but he did say thank you for the cards, and I appreciate y'all. It's like when I always tried to keep some in reserve so that if a podcast listener got to me, I wasn't out. And so what happened was, at the end, like they were like, "Oh, you got one more," and I had just had like a pack of like non-top loaded cards. So I was like, "Here, just take them." But also we got Sarah Toby, who I believe is sweet because he's the one who I gave the Kendray autographed card too. But so the first thing, and there's a lot of mailbags, but I want to hear from the listeners on this question because it's a really good question that I'm going to throw out here and we can talk about it a little bit, but I want to get listener comments so we get all of the options here. So this was a Rod Walker from NOLA.com. He asked the question and it was in relation to Latavius Murray retiring. And like Latavius Murray is just one of those players that you look at and you're like, man, he was pretty good in a Saints uniform. He's not a Saints Hall of Famer, but like you look back and you're like, he did the job. Like he got the job done. And so the question was, who are the most underappreciated players that the Saints have had that are not Saints Hall of Famers, that did not do enough to get into the Saints Hall of Fame, but were like really, really good for a period of time? Like you're thinking of like the Ted Ginns, it's funny because Jared Cook would be an interesting answer, but that fumble just changed everything. Like Jared Cook is statistically the second best tight end in Saints history, but we talk about him like he's like the worst thing that's ever happened. And it's because he had a chance to make a catch that potentially set up an NFC Championship appearance, and instead he had the worst fumble, and that ended Drew Brees' career basically. But I think to me, and I want to hear what y'all have to say. So put your suggestion in there of the Saints player that is the most underappreciated who isn't a Saints Hall of Famer. Because my answer is Willie Snead. Because Willie Snead for 2 years there was really, really good. He was playing next to Brandon Cooks, who was the star. But like Willie just put up numbers. Like he had back-to-back seasons with like 900 receiving yards. Because a big part of this is getting out of town. They call it like the Batman corollary, is like getting out of town before you become the villain. Because like if Jared Cook just disappeared after his first year where he had like 900 yards and 9 touchdowns, it'd be like, wow, what a great season for a tight end. But then he stuck around just long enough to fumble and end Drew Brees' career. So I'm going with Willie Snead because, yeah, he did have the DUI and that really kind of marred his final season. But I think people generally look at Willie Snead as a good player, not great player, but like positive vibes.
I went with a dude. I was surprised he wasn't in the Saints Hall of Fame. I was a part of the Super Bowl team, a guy we get on the air a lot, and linebacker Scott Shanley. Definitely a try-hard dude that always, gave it his all out there and was just, like I said, a key piece all around on the linebacking group and always was there to make plays. And I know that, he wasn't maybe the top of the tier linebackers in the NFL, but a solid, rotational guy you could count on.
I agree. And you go back to that 2011 season, and it's funny because like I rewatched a bunch of these games, and they're talking about like Scott Shanley's in like a position battle, and he's out there, but like every time Scott got onto the field, he was making the plays. And when it was like everybody else, it was like, who's making a tackle? And then Scott would be in there and like, it's Scott Shanley.
Brings up another one I thought of too, Malcolm Jenkins.
Malcolm Jenkins is a good one. You know,
he's not in the Hall of Fame,
but he will be. That's the thing. I think he will be. I don't think it's been long enough.
Gotcha.
Lance Moore isn't Lance Moore in the? Someone said Lance Moore
is. Lance Romance is for sure.
Yeah, Lance Moore's in there. Recent. Super Bowl champion. Again, I do think Malcolm Jenkins is going to get in there. Bobby Scott is an answer. That's my problem. Is like my memory for Saints does not go back to be like pre-Breeze era, and it's not because I wasn't interested. It's just because I lived in Connecticut and we didn't talk about the Saints in the early 2000s up in Connecticut.
Right.
But no, keep throwing names out there. Max Unger is a good one. Yeah, he's the guy that
is a great one.
Was really, really good. Like he was good enough that people forgave the Saints for the Jimmy Graham trade. Right? Like not completely, but
right, because everybody loved obviously the offense, the scoring power of Jimmy.
I take that back. Let me rephrase, because I still don't forgive the Saints for the Jimmy Graham trade, but he was good enough that people didn't talk about missing on Stephon Anthony, which was a terrible draft pick, one of the worst draft picks the Saints ever made. But Max was such a good addition that it was like, okay, we at least got a starter, like a Pro Bowl caliber player out of this. So we're just going to pretend Stephon Anthony never happened. Yeah, he's the number 32 pick in the first round. Never did anything.
He had his rookie year. That was about it.
He did. He had a lot of tackles his rookie year, but he just didn't have it. Like he just wasn't a good player.
That's because the rest of the defense just also blew.
Yeah, and a lot of the guys on the Super Bowl rosters, we got Justin Pasquale, says Scott Fajita, right? Like a lot of who I think Scott Fajita is in the Saints Hall of Fame.
I believe so too, but I'm not 100% positive.
Like I feel like the entire Saints Super Bowl roster is going to be in there, so it's like you kind of have to look. It's got to be some of these down years. Like Aaron Brooks is in the Team Hall of Fame. I'm trying to think. There's at least one other, like Delvin Breaux. Remember Delvin Breaux? His legacy is pointing out that the Saints doctors were not doing a very good job. See, everyone's naming Saints Hall of Famers. That's the problem. Craig Robertson's in the Saints Hall of Fame.
No, I don't think so.
Yes. Oh, you know what? He's not. I'm thinking because they did a retirement press conference for him. But like I would bet Craig Robertson does get into the Saints Hall of Fame.
That's another dude. You talk about feels and good energy. He was awesome in that locker room.
Jabari Greer definitely is in the Saints Hall of Fame because he went in last year. Anyway, so yeah, keep Guido Merkins. We got a Guido Merkins up in here. Sure, he's an underappreciated player just because the name Guido Merkins is fantastic.
And I think that name resonates to me just because I've heard Hebert telling a story where I believe Merkins threw him a touchdown in his rookie season.
Okay. Wes Chandler, here's a good one. But all right, yeah, keep dropping those in, and we're gonna go on to more present stuff. But I just appreciate that question because I think it's really kind of a fascinating conversation to have. Because like to me, Willie Snead is the guy. Ted Ginn's an interesting name, but Willie Snead had some really nice moments. But all right, King Eternal says Blake proved he can be consistent, but that Green Bay game from 2023 still haunts me. And sure, I hear you, but like, let the guy live. That is the worst miss in his career. I agree.
For sure.
But I think it was his first kick outdoors. And he just kind of pushed it. But
that's something we're hoping doesn't rear an ugly head. Is closer range groupie was more scary than mid to long range groupie.
Yeah, and so we'll see if that continues, right? and I'd like to think that's something that as you move on in your career, that you get better at, right?
Yeah, right.
And I've said this before. Like one of the reasons I think Blake misses from close more than he misses from like 50 plus is because he takes a 50-yard kick, whether he's kicking from 30 or he's kicking from 50. So when he starts it off on the wrong line, it's on the wrong line the whole way. There's no forgiveness there. Sarah Toby says, low key, what's the best trade asset we can get for Foskey? A 6th or a 7th? I don't know. I think it's just a cut, man. I don't know why would anyone trade for him?
Yeah, there's no value there. Sorry.
I mean, if someone offered me a 6th round pick, I'd take it yesterday.
Sold.
But like, I just don't think that's. What would you even like? Why would a team give up an asset for a guy who just hasn't done anything? Because like they can go sign him as a free agent if he gets cut, and same with a Zach Bond situation. But that's what you're afraid of if you're the Saints is you move on from him and suddenly you have another situation where a guy goes somewhere else and has success, and he's under contract for 2 more years. Because he's a 2nd round pick.
It's hard to say because I felt like Bond wasn't getting opportunities either, and I figured he just wasn't earning them. But meanwhile, he goes over to Philly, looks like a stud, and then ends up winning a ring.
Yeah. Yep. Io Toto says Shaheed ran a streak into cover 2 and ran past 2 deep safeties. There's almost no one in the league as fast as Shaheed besides Reek and Worthy. And so he's talking about we're talking about Velus Jones claimed that he is the fastest wide receiver or the fastest player on the team, not just fastest running back, fastest player on the team.
Game checks are on the line.
A game check. He bet his game check on it, and he's serious. Like he's not laughing. And I don't know. Like I do find it interesting. I don't think he's faster than Rashid, but I think it's possible that like he could get off the line faster. I think he might have the agility edge, because like Rashid is the type of guy that like. He's got long speed. I don't know if his like the short area quickness is necessarily his best skill, but like so the question is, what distance are we talking? Yeah. Are we talking a 40? Because I think in a 40, it'll be close.
That's what I think it should be. I mean, that's what we measure usually speed times in the NFL.
Yeah, and I think Rashid still gets it, but I think it'd be a situation where like the first 10 meters. You might see 4 yards, I guess, but the first 10 yards, Velus might have it, but then like you'll just see it kind of like because like that's the type of like Rashid does not have that kind of like short area quickness. He has long speed. So that's what I will say is if it's 100-meter dash, I'll take Shaheed all day. If it's a 40, it might be close.
Can we somehow get a pay-per-view event that we help sponsor?
I mean, like, there's a lot of these conversations that go on across the NFL. I don't know why they don't have that should be like in the Pro Bowl is a 100-yard dash, and to see who can get it.
They used to have like the players competing, and I guess they worry too much nowadays about injuries.
Yeah, I definitely. Hey, you get hurt playing dodgeball. I think they should have him play archery tag.
Kellen joked about not going bowling because of injuries, and I thought he was serious.
Yeah, no, he was joking. You didn't catch my archery tag reference. We watched it the other day on ESPN 8. The Ocho, that's a real thing. They shoot arrows at each other. They're dull. They're like look like they have donuts on the end of them, like little marshmallows. But yeah, archery tag. Look it up. 504 Coat. Really think we need to go out and get another wide receiver, preferably Keenan Allen. Yeah, I think if I had to pick, so cornerback is a position that I could see them trying to find a guy. But if I had to pick, like, okay, one position where you spend all of your free agency capital, it's wide receiver. Like, I just need somebody who I feel like can go out and be physical. And I don't know if any of these guys that they have on the roster are really doing it for me.
If it's not Keenan, I don't know who the heck else there is out there either.
It's got to be Keenan. That's really the only option on the table. So there's a few other guys maybe, but like that's to me, when I look at this team, that is the one glaring thing that is looking at me saying like, fix me.
Yeah, as long as Jawan's groin injury isn't an issue, I agree.
Yeah, and that is the thing. Like Jawan, when he's healthy, is a big-bodied wide receiver in a tight end body, right? Like,
but he needs to be more than one other guy, Yeah,
and the thing is, like Jawan, I don't know. I don't want to overload him. I like that's how if he gets hurt, I don't know what you do.
Jack Stoll.
Get ready to learn Jack Stoll, buddy. Ayo Toto also says, from everything I've heard around camp, Jasheen Davis, arrow, Foskey, greater than Foskey, which I love. Davis, so that's a plus in my eyes. You need someone other than Grando and Chase to emerge from that group. Yeah, it's an interesting question, right? Because like Jasheen is a guy out of Wake who has been a kind of a revelation, But you see that throughout camp. Some guys just show up and then the games start and they wilt. So I'm not gonna throw in my lot with Desheen until I start to see stuff in preseason games. Because here's the thing: if Foskey goes out there and gets a sack in a preseason game, suddenly we'll be all back on the Foskey train.
Gamer,
and he's a gamer. He's a gamer. Maybe Tyler Shuck's a gamer. Maybe A.T. Perry's a gamer. A.T. Perry, man.
That's a good pull right there.
Yeah, only been a year. This time last year, DA was passive aggressively saying he's been fine.
Fine.
I'll never forget that. He's been fine. Thanks.
And then he was gone.
And then just as mysteriously as he appeared, he was gone. Justin Pasquale says, I just think Rattler's going to be our week 1 QB, regardless of his interceptions in camp. It is camp, but he just seems more ready now than the other two guys. I mean, at this point, they've all thrown interceptions. Rattler, I believe, has thrown 3. That sounds right. And because he has 2 to Quincy and 1 to Stutzman. And Shuck has thrown 2. So it's not like one guy is crazy amount of interceptions. Shuck should have had a second interception today. It was late in the practice, and that was during the live session where you were actually tackling. And I think it was 37 and 38, so that's Dallas Beenham and Jaden Price. And are you impressed that I knew those numbers?
It's pretty damn good.
Let me double check.
let me double check.
Yep. Yeah, Dallas Beenham and Jaden Price. And both guys could have intercepted the ball. It was right there. They tomahawked each other out of the air, and the ball just kind of fell harmlessly to the ground. It was a 4th down play, so you had to throw the ball. But yeah, it should have been a second interception. So I don't think the interceptions. I really don't read much into those interceptions.
Wait a minute. Who was the throw that we thought Quincy was inbounds, but they called him out?
That was Shuck.
That was Shuck. Okay.
Yeah, but that was kind of that was it was out of it was a safe throw. I want to see, I wouldn't put that interception on the quarterback so much as I would have loved to see Olave fight for that ball. Because it was kind of it was a zero blitz. You just got to throw the ball up. And that's when I say I need to see a physical right receiver, that's why. Because that's the type of play that if you had a Mike Thomas out there, I think he comes down with that. All right. Philip Havard says, Cam, I heard another platform, can't remember which, that they brought him up. Cam Jordan. Justin says, Cam Jordan is a rotational guy now. I believe it outside backer and defensive end. We don't need Cam to be that guy anymore. Yeah, so Cam had a really nice rep against Fuaga in one-on-ones the other day. And I think Cam has a role as a situational pass rusher, as Justin says, because he's still people forget they want to, he's washed, he can't get it done. I agree, he's not a 3-down defensive end anymore or a 3-down pass rusher, whatever. But I do think that Cam still has a pass rushing bag that if you can get him on the field, if you can get him a package of 15 to 20 snaps in pass rush situations, I still think he can get the job done. And maybe that's just, me being rose-colored glasses, but
I think Cam is a guy though too. When he knows he can't be that, and if he's not helping the team at any point, he'll leave the game. He's not going to stick around if he thinks he's going to hurt this team.
Agreed, but I also don't know if Cam would necessarily be honest with himself if he was getting to that point.
I think
so.
He would.
Because it's tough to say that about yourself, right? Because you're not getting the reps, so you're imagining I would have done this with this rep, right? I do think that Cam should be at the point in his career where he acknowledges that he's not an every down player anymore. But if I don't know, it's tough to be honest with yourself about where you are in your career. I think
I definitely feel he's willing to do whatever they want, and he just wants to be used as much as possible.
Yeah, and John Carter brings up, I haven't heard anything about Cam in these practices. He's been out there. It's Chase and Granderson. Those are kind of your starting outside backers, is Chase and Granderson. They're going to be the guys we talk about. These are the guys you're going to build with. But, you need a rotation. Guys get hurt. Last year was weird because no one got hurt at the defensive end position. But
keep them
guys,
fresh too. Keep them nice and fresh.
Yeah, you want to keep them fresh. So you're asking guys to cover more, so they're going to be running more. So you're going to want a rotation, and so Cam's going to be in that rotation. He is. I would love it if Foskey was playing so well that you were like, we can't afford to take away reps from Isaiah. We got to get it to him, and it just hasn't been. So at this point, I'm still in on Cam.
Right.
Okay. One more, and then we'll take a quick break. Larry Connor Jr. says the Saints should have drafted Milroe instead of Shuck and traded Taysom and used Milroe in that Taysom Hill role. Why would anyone have traded for Taysom, first of all? You can think teams are lining up to trade for a guy coming off a catastrophic knee injury that isn't going to start at quarterback?
I mean, I understand the interest in Milroe, but yeah, the trading Taysom part, that's a big no.
Has Milroe been good? Has Milroe done much at Seahawks camp? I don't know. I haven't really kept track. I have a hard time keeping track of more than one training camp.
No, I hear you. I definitely haven't. There hasn't been the buzz on socials, at least, with big Jalen Milroe highlights. I thought that I was intrigued by Milroe in the draft, and was kind of, I want to say surprised, but was definitely, second round going to get Shuck. I was like, wow, the team was definitely high on him, because I didn't think they were going to take him that early. I figured more of a third round guy for Shuck, but so many people, I think even said, if that's the guy you like, go the hell and get him.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But all right, let's yeah, I mean, I agree with, yeah, I'm sorry, like I misunderstood what you said. No, I agree with my past self. Yes. Like if Shuck was the guy that you decided on, you go get him, and that's what they did. But all right, let's take a quick break, come back, finish out the mailbag. Again, this is Inside Black and Gold. I am Jeff Nowak. We were answering viewer questions. Got a few more starred here. We're going to run through getting kind of 2 episodes done in one here. We're talking about the first 10 days of camp. We got, 15 days of camp left, 3 preseason games to go through, so a lot to talk about. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. Again, you can follow me on Twitter at Jeff_Nowak. You can follow Steve at Steve Geller, WWL. You can follow the show at Saints_pod. We're going through a live mailbag viewer questions. Get them in there. Who dat? Go Saints. We'll be right back. And we're back on Inside Black and Gold. One more segment. We are down to the final one on this episode. It's a long one, but I think it was worth it. I'm glad we got this done today, because a lot happened in today's practice, and we only scratched the surface. Again, 126 plays in a scrimmage. And, I think this is I was asking Jeff Duncan about this, because Jeff's memory of Saints practices goes way back further than mine. Obviously, I've only been covering the team since like 2019, give or take. But I don't remember a Sean Payton practice being like this. He did say that like earlier in Sean Payton's run, he had more scrimmage type practices like this, but definitely not toward the end. And I think part of that is like you had a veteran group. You don't need as much work. Like this was a very high intensity practice. Guys were not, I wouldn't say dropping like flies, but guys were dogging it at the end. Like guys were beat. And like the last several sessions or drives, it was like, like Bub Means, for instance, like there was a play where I was just like, if he was rested, he probably runs that route, gets open and catches it, but he's toast. And it's not even a negative thing. Like these guys don't do 2-a-days anymore. They don't do 2.5-hour practices. So like these guys were fighting it to get through today. And honestly, they're just lucky that it wasn't a 96-degree day. Like it was only,
you were too.
The red on your face now. Like you definitely did get a good sunburn out there today.
Yeah.
Like it was, I was tired. By the end of it, I was just sitting over there sweating. It got hot toward the end of practice, but like they got some, we talk a lot about how they practice shorter and they don't get a lot of work in relative to what they used to do. Today was not the case. They got a lot of work in today.
Yeah, and I remember I started covering the team the Super Bowl year, and they did used to have, it was always, you were excited on in camp because it was going to be the black and gold scrimmage for the day, but it went away after maybe 4 or 5 years, I think, and definitely was not something that Dennis Allen decided to reinstitute.
Well, it's funny because when I tweeted that this morning and how I hadn't seen a practice like this in several years, if anything, and someone was like, "Man, Dennis DA was running a shit show," and I was like, "I guess," but all DA did was the exact same thing Sean did. Like everything about the first 2 years under Dennis Allen was, "This is how Sean did it. This is how we're doing it." And then once it became clear that that was a problem, you tried to change it, but it was like if we weren't trying to do what Sean did, then we wouldn't hire DA in the first place, right?
We'll see what he does in Chicago this year, bouncing back as a DC.
Yeah, well, I think it'll be great as a defensive coordinator, but like I just don't think he has the vision to be a head coach. And you can just see it, you can sense it, you can hear it from the players. Like they are way more bought in this year than they'll say the right things. You'll say, "Hey, I'm bought in." Like everyone's bought it.
It's a different feeling though that you even get.
Like you're bought in until the first negative thing happens, and then people jump ship. Right? Mike Thomas was all the way bought in until it was like, "Oh, this is not. Yeah, I'm not bought into this at all." Lattimore, same thing. Like it's like you'll be bought in as long as things are going well, but then the adversity hits, and it's like turn the boat over and see who's strapped in because most people are not, and they're gonna fall right out. And like that's not even me being negative on Mike Thomas. Like he's like a whistleblower in this scenario. Like I'm not being negative about whistleblowers, but like it's you kind of got to be all in for this thing to work. Everyone's got to be pulling the rope the same direction, and like some guys can instill that belief, and some guys can't. Landon Young today. Let's listen to what Landon Young said because I think his answer about Kellen is what I'm talking about right here.
Absolutely, and I think a lot of guys have a lot of respect for Kellen, and I think he's doing some really good things. He has that new energy that's coming into this program. He's trying to create that culture that we're used to, and I think he's doing a really good job of that. He's really, what's the word? He's putting confidence in us as well. Not just us having to create that confidence for each other, but he's inspiring confidence in all of us. So I've really, really liked that. And I feel like everybody's backing him up. He's backing us up, and we're going to get on the train rolling.
And the funny thing about comments like that is like every one of them, and we've heard so many, is like there is a second half of that comment, and that's not what was happening before.
No, the feel, whatever, everything changed around this ball club for a reason, and it's good to have that fresh, younger, just more in tune with the players right now for sure. And I think, I don't know, Jeff, did everything go wrong for DA after he, mouthed off, threw the players under the bus after the Jameis Winston incident where he decided to run a play instead of taking a knee?
Well, I mean, things had gone wrong long before that.
Was that like the last straw the players had?
That was his chance to rescue the situation. And he just did not identify it at all. Just going back to the first half of this, so we've got a few more. Wes Chandler, so the underrated players, Wes Chandler's in there. That's a good one. Josh Hill, Nathan Johnson says Josh Hill, which I agree. Like statistically, he's a glue guy, right? It'd be like saying Zach Wood. Like
just remember Sean Payton saying not him not around was like playing without your front door, and I was like, well, shit. That's pretty big if you don't have your front door to your house.
Yeah, you need a front door. I don't even know. That's an interesting.
I just kind of like open forever to walk in that they wanted to.
Be like living in a Jeep, like a Jeep Wrangler. All right. Io Toto says Akeem Hicks would be if we never got rid of him, because it's true. Like Akeem Hicks is one of the best draft picks the Saints made, but they didn't get him. It's like the way the Saints drafted Mark Bulger.
And that D tackle position, which was lacking so much, man.
Yeah, I would have taken Akeem Hicks over the last 3 years. Actually, is he retired? I don't even know. I've lost track. Going back, okay. Keenan Allen, we talked about, okay, what are the options? Say, Scary Terry. Justin Pasquale says, hey, you could trade for Scary Terry. And I would trade for Scary. I would trade for Terry McLaurin. I really would.
Yeah, but then you're going to have to pay him $30 million.
I'd do it. I love Scary. I am a Terry McLaurin truther, okay? I think Terry McLaurin is a top 10 wide receiver. I think he is criminally underrated, and that's why he's annoyed that he's not getting paid. Because he's like, hey, I do all the same stuff these guys do. Like, look at my numbers. Stack my numbers up with some of these other guys who are making $30 million and tell me why I'm not. He had a stretch last year where he had like 28 straight catches on targets. Like he caught like 28 straight targets. He was toasting the Saints in the first half of that game, man.
I just don't want to pay him now at this age. Sorry, he's 29 going into his.
I'll pay him on a 2-year contract. Okay, I'd pay him 2 years, $61 million.
If he'll take a 2-year deal, sure.
I think he would. If a team committed to him and said, "Hey, we're going to trade for you."
If you had a quarterback probably set in stone, maybe.
Fine. I'm doing it. Like, people want Micah Parsons. I don't want Micah Parsons. I don't want all that noise. I want Scary Terry because he's elite. He's a good locker room guy. He goes and does his work. He went to Ohio State.
I just think he's a piece you add if you're ready to win now.
Sure. I'm not saying it's the most sensible thing you could do. I'm just saying I'd do it.
I hear you.
But I have a take that Terry McLaurin is a top 10 wide receiver and no one knows about it because they don't pay attention to what he does. Anyway, I like Scary Terry. So
I don't think he's going anywhere anyway.
My take. I don't think so either. I don't think he's getting traded. Io Toto says we were talking about Jalen Milroe. Io Toto says if you ask any Seahawks reporter about Milroe, he's the reincarnation of Vic fused with Lamar.
I did, like, real quick, do a Google search of Milroe, and there was that, that typical training camp tweet just of Milroe throwing dimes at Seahawks camp.
Yeah. Going against the threes looks amazing. Anyway. All right. Chief Peanut, NOLA 504 Silver Wolf. That's quite a name, man. He was out at practice today. He says, I'm excited about Tyler. He was better than Spencer Rattler today. I other than the red zone, I thought Spencer was fine. I think he was a little hesitant in the red zone. And I think when you're a young player, you one of the things you try to do is not make mistakes in the red zone rather than trying to be aggressive in the red zone. And that's where I need to balance it. One question I want to get into that isn't asked here, but I did get it tweeted at me earlier was, is Tyler Shuck a good scrambler? And it's an interesting question because I actually think he's not a great scrambler. I think he's a good runner, but scrambling and running are two very different things. Like, you scramble to extend a play, to throw, and then if there's nothing there, you take off and run. Now, I think Tyler's really good on like zone reads and keepers. And like he reminds me of Daniel Jones in that way. And I know people don't like Daniel Jones, but like one thing Daniel Jones, like people slept on, was like he could run. Like even like the plays, like the joke plays where he ran, he fell on his face against the Eagles. You remember that play where he hit a zone read keeper and he's like all by himself in the middle of the field and he just falls? Well, that fall came after a 65-yard run. Only Daniel Jones was able to become a meme after a 65-yard run because he just kind of couldn't keep he didn't get the knees high up enough. But like that's the type of athlete Tyler Shuck is that like Daniel Jones, like when you're not paying attention, he could take it to the house, and he did several times. Like go look up some Daniel Jones running highlights and you'll understand what I mean. Like that's how I see Tyler Shuck. He's not a guy that's gonna juke and like dance around in the backfield like a Lamar or a Mahomes or even a Josh Allen. But like he's a guy that if you get him in a straight line, he can outrun you. He's fast, but he's not a scrambler. I think Rattler is actually a much better scrambler than Tyler. He doesn't have the straight line speed, but he's able to create and he understands when to use his legs, I think, a little better. Like Tyler Shuck is a good runner in phase with the offense. Like when it's planned for him to run, I think he can do a lot of damage. I think when he's trying to extend, he's really not moving around a lot. He's extending horizontally, right? Like, and that's a good thing. Like I want him to extend to throw, but he's not going to be juking guys in the backfield.
No, but we've seen Tyler take off quite a few times. He likes to run.
Oh, he's got speed. That's what I mean. Like, I don't think it's an agility thing. It's like, but he has good straight line speed, and that's why I compare him to Daniel Jones in that way. One thing I tweeted today that like he should go back and look at is I appreciated after he threw that interception to Nephi. You know,
Yeah.
I think a lot of guys might have just kind of like walked off to the side and kind of like pouted. If you look at Tyler, he turns, sprints upfield, and starts trying to punch the ball out on Nephi, which I think the coaches would probably prefer you didn't do that because I don't think they want you to hurt your throwing hand trying to punch a ball out after an interception.
That ball, you can imagine though how teed off he was that he threw that right to him.
Well, right, but I appreciate the impulse, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like I appreciate the impulse of like, I'm not just going to sit here and sulk. I'm going to go try to get that ball back. And even though he's definitely not going to punch that ball out again, I just like I like that attitude, right? Like I like he's pissed off that he threw that interception and he's not going to just go over and sulk. Like he knows he screwed up. But I don't know. I just thought that was kind of a funny moment. Like, and you go back and watch the video of Nephi Sewell's interception, and you'll see him like the turn around and sprint upfield. This guy in a red jersey who's not supposed to be involved in that type of action. It's like punching the ball out. And I think that's who Tyler is. Like, I think people underestimate Tyler's competitiveness because of the injuries, because of some of the clips of him like throwing the ball away. Like the dude is a tough guy, and he's gonna compete. He's not just gonna wilt. I don't think.
Well, who he had Olave in the end zone, was it? Or was
Shaheed.
it Cooks?
Shaheed. It was Shaheed.
Oh, Shaheed.
Shaheed was by himself. It was the right read. Like, it was not a bad decision to make that throw. He just kind of lost track of where Nephi was. If he puts a little bit more air under it,
yeah,
and just gets it to the point where Nephi can't like Nephi only caught that because it was right at him. If Nephi has to put his hands over his head and tries to make that ball, maybe he tips it, but he's not intercepting it. So it's just a matter of kind of understanding that you have to be a little bit more precise at the NFL level. And yeah, Io Toto. So Shuck said, she says, I don't know. I don't know why I'm trying to gender YouTube comments. Sorry. Says Shuck reminds me so much of Wentz in a good way. And yeah, I think it's like Wentz is tough because there was a point in Carson Wentz's career where he was elite. Like that Super Bowl season, they were 11-1, 12-1, and then he blew out his knee, and he just was never the same after the knee injury.
That injury just sucked away his career right there.
Yeah, I've never seen a guy fall off because of after an injury quite like that.
Right.
Slamming Sammy is being a troll, saying, I'm a bit excited to see how Garrett Nussmeier will work out for us. Which, I mean, I guess they could have a decent season and still draft Garrett. Like, but yeah. Are you there, Steve? Did we lose you?
Back. You went out, then we're both back.
I think we're I think this is a sign that we need to stop because I don't know if it's me or you. All right. I think I'm seeing
I can't blame my kiddo. He's doing it. He's away doing an NFL draft, fantasy draft. So I can't blame Call of Duty.
It might be me. It might be someone else in my house. I've been doing this so long. They were just like, screw it. I'm going to start streaming something. But all right. Seabrook Travel Club asked a good question. We'll end on this one. Top Saints picks that petered out in NO and then flourished in the league. Brett Perriman. All right. We lost Steve. I think we lost Steve, unless you lost me. But I think this is a good one. And we'll end on this. Top Saints picks that petered out in New Orleans and flourished in the league. Brett Perriman, Zach Bond, Rob Ninkovich, Keem Hicks, Patrick Robinson. Welcome back, Steve. Yeah, but P-Rob, he was a weird one. He was a first-round pick, and he kind of disappeared. Malcolm Jenkins, I would argue, like before he came back, you'd probably have him on that list. He came back and was really solid.
Yeah, I won't say petered out. I was sad to see Caden Ellis go, and he's been thriving with Atlanta.
Yeah, Caden Ellis earned that job. Like a lot of it is like, hey, you played so well that we can't afford you anymore.
Yeah,
like Trey Hendrickson, he was a weird one. He didn't peter out. He had the 13 sacks in his final season. I'm trying to think. Mark Bulger, the Saints did draft Mark Bulger. if that counts. I I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a tough list. I wish I had more time to think about it and come in with a better answer. But Rob Ninkovich is a good one. Akeem Hicks is a good one.
Yeah.
Von Miller. No, not Von Miller. Von Bell. But Von Bell also was really good with the Saints. They just don't like to pay safeties. Kenny Vaccaro was good with the Saints. They just don't like to pay safeties. CJ Gardner-Johnson is another example. Marcus Williams is another example. Yeah, I'm interested. If y'all have any suggestions, throw it in there and we'll go. Justin says, "LOL, Steve's a robot." I don't even know what that means. Probably because you were talking like all clunky.
Or my voice kind of sounded like it was getting all screwed up because of the internet. It does it sometimes.
Yeah, like you were talking through a voice filter. I just learned how to love. But all right. Jerry G says, "So happy Saints football is back."
True.
Me too.
Me too. Me three.
Me too. Me three. Me five. Nephi Sewell is gonna be a star. I don't know. We've been on this way too long that I'm even going that route. I'm punch drunk. And that's fantastic. I appreciate everyone for hanging out. We had a lot of people in here. One of our best engaged live streams in a while. So I really do appreciate everyone hanging out on spending their Sunday. I appreciate Steve putting in the time, even though his face is just slowly getting redder and redder and redder. He needs to go get some aloe vera and pasta and just like slather it on. Just go.
I've been treating it with bourbon. You mean that doesn't work?
It's a strategy. It's a strategy. Let me know how that works out for you. But all right, we're going to wrap this thing up. Thanks everyone who hung out, threw in a comment, question, hot take, whatever. A lot of great insight from y'all. Again, it's been a lot of fun catching up with everyone who was out at camp. And next, there's a couple more open practices. Or there's at least one more open practice on Tuesday. So if you see me out there, say hi. We're going to keep going. Wednesday, I'll be headed out to California with the team. So we'll be doing a lot more episodes, but it will be kind of tough to get stuff recorded during that period. But we'll figure something out. Again, thanks everyone. If you haven't subscribed yet, do that. If you haven't left us a rating review on Apple Podcasts, please do that. Otherwise, who dat? Go Saints. Be easy, y'all.
Preseason Sunday, number 1 game against the Chargers.